everyone, and welcome to the Rebirth Summit 2025 Stories of Unyielding Courage. I'm Pauline Chilton, host of The Pauline Chilton Show, where I spotlight powerful voices from around the globe. I share real conversations with entrepreneurs, experts, and change makers to help listeners grow personally and professionally, while also amplifying voices of resilience as a co author of Breaking the Silence Voices of Survivors, Volume 3, a powerful collection of stories from trauma survivors. I'm honored to be selected as an interviewer for this international summit featuring 100 plus inspiring stories of transformation and rebirth. Victoria Gurr is the CEO and founder of Girl Power Coaching, an HCI certified life and relationship coach, and a bold advocate for women's empowerment. After overcoming trauma, toxic relationships, and years of self silencing, Victoria reclaimed her voice and now helps other women do the same. Through her coaching, speaking, and mentorship, she empowers women to break free from past pain, rebuild confidence, and step into their authentic power. Inspired by nature's strength and balance, Victoria leads with compassion, resilience, and truth, guiding women to write the story they were always meant to live. Thank you for being here, Victoria. Welcome.
Thank you, Pauline. It is such an honor to be here to be speaking among so many powerful voices. And it's just great to provide a message of hope to those that are struggling right now.
Great. Let's start at the beginning. What was life like before your transformation, Victoria?
Oh, before my rebirth, life was extremely challenging. It started at the age of 15. I was molested by the pastor's son at my church. And when I finally spoke up when it started happening to my sister, my dad went to the deacon board and the pastor. And the pastor's response to that was, well, look at Victoria. Boys will be boys. Can you blame him? And in that moment, I blamed myself for what happened to me. I stopped trusting myself. I stopped loving myself. And at the age of 15, I turned to people pleasing. I looked for externally for validation, for self-love, for worth. So I would say yes to everything, even though my soul was screaming, please, Victoria, say no. It's like, no, just yes, because hopefully somebody will say, you're a great friend. You're such a good person. Thank you for being in my life. And that's how I lived. And because of that, of course, I ended up attracting narcissistic partners. My first marriage is like a lifetime movie, and there is not enough time in the day to go through that whole story. But I was so lost and consumed in him that I left my family and went on the run to Costa Rica while the US Marshals were banging on my parents' door. I left everything because I thought I loved this man, that he was going to be my end all be all to create the happiness that I needed to create within. And after I finally got the courage to leave that relationship, I just tried to push it to the back of my mind. I was like, I don't even think about it. It didn't happen. I'm just going to pretend like it didn't happen. Well, it manifested in my next marriage. I ended up trauma bonding with a covert narcissist. Didn't even know at the time there was multiple versions of narcissists, but there's hundreds of them. And we started to rehash our first marriages and all of our trauma and fears out on each other. And I was his punching bag. He wasn't happy with himself, so he emotionally, mentally, and verbally took it out on me daily. And it got to the point where I couldn't stand to be in my own body. I didn't know how to change what was going on. I just knew I couldn't live that way. So we had separated and were living in the same place but separate bedrooms. And I'll never forget, I was walking my dog and I started watching all the heavy traffic flying by. And I thought to myself, what would happen if I walked out into this oncoming traffic? I would contemplate sitting in the tall story of the apartment building we were living in. I would ask, what would happen if I jump out of this window? And it wasn't that I wanted to end my life. I just couldn't stand the pain. I couldn't deal with the pain anymore and where my life was. And that was my true breaking point.
Wow. So, what happened after your breaking point? How did you make that decision to really just turn the corner and go in a new direction?
Yeah, so it didn't happen in like one powerful aha moment. It was multiple moments. Right after we had separated into different bedrooms, I had planned a trip to Salt Lake to go visit the company I worked for. And I've been working virtually with everyone for over a year. And I really just wanted to connect with people. And it was also my birthday at the same time. So I was like, this is a great new chapter. Maybe it'll be a new start for our marriage. Like, let's revive everything. So I asked him to go with me. And it was about 2 weeks before we were supposed to go on the trip where he just kept attacking me and just beating me down. And I just decided, you know what? I need to go on this trip alone. So I told him, and he had a very reactive reaction to it, but it felt so good to set that boundary. That was the first boundary since I was a teenager that I'd set with someone. I was like, no, for me, I'm going on this trip alone. And that was like that first empowering move that I made. I went on the trip. It was amazing. We laughed. I felt seen, and not just the trauma shell version of myself that everyone else had known me as, but for who I really am. We even had an impromptu karaoke party at a Mexican restaurant. My friend literally pulled microphones out of her handbag. It was so much fun. And I was so excited about how great this trip was going. I called my husband to tell him, and he snapped back at me, well, I hope you're finally getting the attention you want. And it stung so bad. So I was like, I'm taking some space during the rest of this trip. And when I got home, he picked me up from the airport and we were heading home, and he's just attacking me about how terrible everything is in his life, his work. Nothing to do with you. This has nothing to do with you. He'd always yell at me, but he still was taking it out on me. And as soon as we walked into that door, that heavy wave of depression and anxiety hit me again. And we got into a huge fight. And I walked in the other room and I prayed. I was like, God, please just tell me what I need to do because something needs to change right now. I cannot continue on like this. And God spoke to me and he said, this is not your end. This is not the ending. This is just the beginning. It's time for you to put yourself first and leave him. So I mustered up courage that I didn't even know I had within. And I walked into the other room and I told him I wanted a divorce. And he got on his knees, begging and pleading. But I stayed firm because I knew God had my back. And I was like, no, I am doing this for myself. I didn't know what my plan was, where I was going to live, what the next moment was. All I knew is I had to leave and put myself first.
So tell us about those next steps. What were those steps forward? And then who supported you during that time?
Yes. So when it comes to uh, my healing journey, it has definitely been full of highs and lows. Healing is not linear at all. Um, it started, there's days where I feel like I'm flying high and can tackle the world, take on anything. And then there's those other days where I'm literally like, why, God, what is the story that you're trying to teach me with this? But it has been absolutely beautiful. So after I had left my husband and it started on my journey for me, my therapist at the time decided that we had met as much growth as we could together. And it was time for me to find somebody else. But I'm just trying to navigate life on my own again. So it was a panic for me. I'm like, what do you mean you're leaving me right now? I need you. You can't abandon me in this time. And there's abandonment and all those core beliefs started to come up. But from there, I was trying to survive life, honestly, just trying to get through the day. And I finally went to an urgent care because I was like, I can't stand being in my own body. I can't figure out a way to self-regulate on my own. I'm self-medicating, starting to drink wine in the middle of the day. That's not who I am. And so I went to this urgent care and I asked, I was like, I really need help. And the lady was so sweet, the nurse, and she was like, I understand where you're coming from, and I really wish there was more, but the only option we have is for you to go to emergency services and commit yourself to a 3-day psych hold. Well, that sounded really scary and not like what I wanted or needed at all. And I left kind of feeling defeated, but I also had something stirring in my soul at the same time. It was like, wait, why isn't there an infrastructure for people struggling with mental health? Why isn't anything happening? And I wasn't in a place at that moment to tackle that next step, but I knew there needed to be something. So then a friend of mine and I decided to take a road trip through Delray Beach, or it's actually through Florida to Delray. And Delray's my second home. I used to live there. And this was my first trip back there since I'd separated my husband, and my whole life with him was there. And we were driving from Tampa to Delray, and I could feel my anxiety really getting the best of me. I had just started to kind of tap into meditation and things like that. So I looked at my friend and was like, I could really use a meditation. Do you mind if we meditate while we drive? Disclaimer, you should never ever meditate and drive. That's not safe. It's you should be so present that you don't know what else is going on around you in a meditation. So during this meditation, while I'm driving, I ended up taking on her anxiety, and her anxiety sat differently than mine. Hers was super heavy and on the chest, and it made it really hard to breathe. By the time we got to Delray, my anxiety had been manifesting in a way I had never seen before. My mind was racing a million times a minute. I couldn't stop talking, even though I had lost my voice. And all my friends are like, Victoria, what is going on with you? And I'm like, it's just my anxiety. I'm going to be okay. I'm okay. But if I had met myself on the street, I was just so amped up. I would have thought I was on drugs. That's how bad it was. And I started asking everyone around me, do you know anyone that does grounding and healing work? I didn't really know what that meant, but I kept asking it because God knew that I needed it. And finally, a friend of mine said, yes, my neighbor Lacey does this kind of stuff. So I connected with her. We met at this beautiful, used to be Sacred Indian Ground park right on the ocean front. And we sat and talked for a while. A lot of tears poured out. And then she had me lay down to do a sound bowl meditation. And in the sound bowl meditation, I could feel the wind gently kissing my face. You could tell like God was there in the moment. And the sound bowls were vibrating so that through my body to the point it felt like I was levitating. It was so powerful to feel everything finally start to release from my body. And before she started to gently wake me up, God spoke to me and he said, well done, my faithful child. This is not the end. You're just starting your healing journey, and you are going to create a safe place for other women to heal. And that was the big point on when my healing journey first began. And from there, there's been so many amazing people along the way. First and foremost is always God. He's had my back through all the hard times, the great times, and no matter what he's thrown my way, he knew that I could handle it, and there was a greater purpose for it. For my family, their unwavering support and love. I have put them through the ringer, going through all of my toxic relationships, and they stood beside me no matter what. And now they're still out there supporting me right now, even though they don't really fully understand my mission and my purpose. And then there's the love of my life, Josh. He has taught me what healthy love is, and was so patient and steadfast while I was trying to navigate and figure out how to be comfortable in a normal relationship, and pushed and pulled him away, but he stayed there and was understanding and loving and supportive. His daughter, Layton, who's the light of my life, she taught me how to play and reconnect with my inner child. I forgot how much fun it is to color on the floor or to play with Legos and just have fun and be just light, not be so serious. Of course, my healer, Lacey, I feel like that was divine appointment, and she's helped me through so many things, including a chakra series. We went through to clear all of the chakras. It took over a year for us to complete it. In every single one, there was a physical, a mental, and a spiritual struggle that I had to get through. And the biggest one was with my sacral chakra. I got so sick that I couldn't keep water or food down. I literally survived for months on bone broth and prayer. And during this time, I ended up with 4 different types of bacteria infections, from C. diff, H. pylori, E. coli. The point my doctor's like, I'm going to send you to an infectious disease doctor because I don't understand what's happening. But then Lacey reminded me, she said, hey, are you listening to your body? What is your body trying to tell you right now? And my body was telling me, please rest. You have been in fight or flight mode for so long. It's time to slow down. And so I finally honored my body, and I cleared my calendar. I took a sick leave from work, and I spent a lot of time sleeping, just rest, digesting, and healing. And then, so through that, and I was really struggling even a couple months ago with this. And I connected with Muncie, who's another beautiful, passionate person on our panel. And she reminded me of something simple yet profound. To give love, to receive love, you must give love. And she encouraged me that night to envision a big, beautiful pink heart and send all the love to them, which to the people in my life. And I did. But then I went a step further and I fully surrendered to God. I prayed in a way that I have never prayed before. And I asked God to fully take over my life, that I trust in his divine timing and to use me as a vessel for his greater good, not for my purpose, but for his. And the next morning I woke up, I felt energized and my stomach rumbled, but this time it was actually out of hunger. And I have been feeling so great, ready to tackle the world. And God has just blessed me tenfold over this last time. And then I do have a few other people. My girlfriend, Deandra, she was brought into my life in Delray through divine appointment. God speaks through us. We could get on the phone just to say, hey, girl, how are you? And by the end of it, it's like, goodness, that was such a powerful conversation. He is always there and works through us. And it's proof that God puts the right people in your life when you need them most. And then my best friend Shannon, she's been my rock since I was 11 years old. We've navigated everything, trials, tribulations, and laughing till our sides hurt. And then, of course, there's all the tools that help us. Meditation, yoga nidras, which is another type of meditation, but it's encouraged to fall asleep. So it works on your subconscious. Journaling. I started gratitude journaling over this last year and then have taken it a step further to write down a prayer every single day to God. And it's great to be able to go back to that and use those resources. Creating boundaries. That was a really big one for me. It's powerful and it helped me protect my peace. And all of these things have lifted me up, reshaped me, and made me the woman I am today.
That's amazing. We have less than 2 minutes left. So, real quick, I wanted to know how are you using your experience to help others, and what message do you have for someone is still stuck in pain, who's where you used to be, and what would you tell them?
Yeah, so I've taken my pain and turned it into my power. I launched my company, Girl Power Coaching, which is a play on my last name. My last name is Gurr, and I feel God had divine plans for me. He was like, "You are going to empower women." And even walking down the hallways in high school, people would Gurr at me all the time. So it's fun to be able to use my name in that way. But I guide women on a customized journey for them to remove limiting beliefs, to release the trauma from the body, to empower them and help them find their authentic selves and what their purpose is in life. It's not just surface level coaching. This is a full transformation for the body, mind, and soul.
Great. Thank you, Victoria Gurr, for sharing your heart and your powerful story. Your journey is a beacon of hope. And I would love to expand more on what you spoke about, but in the interest of time, I'll go ahead and close out. This has been another incredible conversation on the Rebirth Summit 2025 Stories of Unyielding Courage. I'm Pauline Chilton, and it's been an honor to host this interview as part of this global movement for healing and transformation. Stay tuned for more interviews from courageous speakers all around the world. Until next time, this is Rebirth TV signing off.